was live already. Guess that's okay to do, right?
Yeah, should be good.
Check your email. Hey, Lincoln. Lincoln, this is our new planner, Britton.
Britton?
Brittany,
Lincoln's on the city council.
Nice to meet you. Welcome to the team.
Yeah, glad to be a part of it.
That's awesome. Where's home?
Should be in Saratoga Springs is where my family is right now. Yeah. So
Should be. Are you moving from somewhere?
yeah, I'm gonna be moving with my wife. We're gonna be up in Midvale, around next month. So, right now, I tell people we're in Saratoga, but yeah, that's where we're gonna be pretty soon. Yeah, we're pretty excited.
Good, good.
How long have you been, are you in the planning commission? Are you planning commission?
I just got elected to the city council.
Oh,
So
city council.
I'm a brand new city council person.
Sweet. That's
We
pretty
gonna have a full house tonight?
I don't think so. Oh, I need to let her know Scott won't be here. Okay. So we record on YouTube, we record on the,
That's for the meeting minutes?
yeah. We have everything's in here too on a sheet. And then Mary also has a list up there.
To start the recording, you just hit the red
Just
button.
hit the red button.
Simple as that.
Scott won't be here.
Oh, Scott won't?
No, well, he's gonna be on Zoom.
Zoom or something?
What's that?
Scott, something? He's gonna zoom in or something? Well, you guys are
So
really.
Brittany, when you put them up, do you like roll dice? Do you like
Pretty
have?
much. I just try to shuffle them up a little bit. All right,
Who's not coming?
Scott. So.
Hi.
You can
Good
spread yourself
evening.
out.
I'll spread it out.
So do different seasons make the mall better or worse as far as load, busyness?
The mall's
Well,
always,
obviously, the holiday season, Christmas is busy as far as customers go.
But now you've got people that come and do stuff out in the grassy area, I forget what it's called.
Yeah, it's pretty much, it's year round now. But of course, the customers is one aspect of busy. And then the work and all the stuff we do that is the other aspect of busy.
Right. It's not the mall it used to be.
I'm a big fan of the mall.
Good.
It's a great place, that whole area.
Yeah, I had to take my son and like his friends, I was like, you guys gotta start becoming mall rats. I'm like, it's a whole thing. So I was teasing them, I'm like, you see all these people? I'm like, this is because of me. This is because I started getting kids coming here again. They're like, no, you didn't, Mom.
Rob, this is our new planner, Britton Corbett.
Hi, Britton.
Hi, Rob. It's nice to meet you.
Britton Corbett.
Yep.
Great. Glad to meet you. Where are you coming from?
Saratoga Springs.
Saratoga Springs?
How are you, Mike?
Good. How about you?
I'm good. I was thinking today I should come and just visit you, see how things are going, see if there's anything I can help.
Bet Mike was glad
What's
to
your,
have you on
what's your
board.
work like?
Yeah, I'm sure it is. And
Thursday
you'll probably be seeing
is
me out
good,
more
I'm
often
sure.
once I
Tomorrow's
get
crazy.
adjusted and
Yeah. Well, that's great.
Friday
Good
is
luck
going
to you
just
in your new
general
job.
golf.
Thank you. Yeah.
Good for
Mike is a
you.
great guy to work for.
Yeah, this is pretty
Weird.
So Thursday or next week?
Thursday is good?
Yeah.
Well, we can push it to next week if you want.
Either way.
It'd be nice to touch base Thursday just because then we will touch base before the next.
Yeah.
Thursday is all open.
You'll probably be seeing my face a lot more often.
Great.
Seeing
Oh,
these.
good to know that. I know he's been anxious to get someone.
Yeah, yeah.
So where are you coming from? Or
So my family's in Saratoga Springs and I'm coming from, I was working in the mountains.
I'll make sure that I can go out actually.
good.
I was over at their public works department, so now it's my first time ever on being in the planning field. That's been sort of really my dream.
What you want to shoot?
Yeah, my career, and so, yeah,
Well, great.
excited about it, finally being it, so.
Rob and I are kind of old timers on the commission.
We're young old timers.
Yeah, that's right.
Isn't that the case?
I was chair forever and ever and ever, so.
Great, so if I have any questions, I should reach
Yeah,
out to
but
you.
I'm not
She's
now.
the lady.
Not this year.
Ready to,
Yeah, no, Rob's the one that knows everything in the world.
Rob's
I
the expert.
know.
Yeah, you know that he is, manages University Mall.
ready for
University Place,
kids
yes.
to be out?
50 years.
50 years.
They're ready.
Oh, yeah, they're supposed to.
You're,
They
Every
are.
morning. I think this morning was 7.5 days. So
Is that what it is?
I think that's what they told me. I can't remember.
So to prep, you get the
You
staff
can
report and
sit
then
yourself
the
wherever
meeting
you
minutes
want when you come early,
uploaded?
so.
Really?
Yeah,
No.
I just put them in.
When you're getting
So I
that
can put
meeting
mine
set up, do you
Yeah.
load up the staff
Just the
report?
staff
They
report.
leave it over your
They'll already have the meeting minutes.
Gotcha.
Those were sent
Rob
in
and
their
I
staff
really
report
like to
last
sit by
week.
each other.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah, no, I usually just put them out, so if you come and you're like, I don't like that spot, then just do it.
I really like it.
That's when you become the like
The,
last person, you're
training,
stuck with where you're at.
I really like
Brian's
it.
doing the same as the city
You're not too
council.
picky.
I think they switched it up slightly, but
You guys all drive your 4-wheel drive vehicles to get here?
Boy, it's almost that way.
Where's it in
our neighborhood?
So, here you have.
Let's see, where was
Roll the dice. I don't think there's method to the madness. She said she just rolls the
I
dice.
just throw them out there, so if you
Hey.
don't like it, you can do it.
No, that's all good.
Yeah, usually they're like 90%.
What do you got this week?
I did Neater's ones.
What are they?
They're just the sugar cookies, but they're cute because they have a little like a campfire on it. I thought they were cute.
Oh, cute.
Yeah. Well, I looked at crumbles and they were like, I don't know.
those 4 screens are what's visible.
Yours is
This one's having,
orangey.
yeah. So they got the screen, it'll show the TV.
Yeah, I'm on
Cool.
your Facebook, so I get
You
the little
get 3.
updates, so
Oh,
I
we've
was
been
so
live.
thrilled
We're
to
still
hear
live.
that.
So,
Congratulations. That is
yeah.
great.
Like, he still has a year of treatment, but.
I'm just gonna start it.
Well, yeah, of course, yeah.
I was like,
Real quick, I had to start the meeting, so we are live on YouTube, so. Don't tell any dirty jokes or anything, so.
Oh, what? We better turn off, just kidding.
It's just,
Yeah.
just all up and ready to go.
Oh, hey.
Public
Ron, how you
Works.
doing?
That is crazy. I didn't
It's not
know.
there.
That's incredible.
We don't have access to the P drive here. Yeah, that's okay. I will go and move this over to the, what is your drive, Mike, called?
Y drive?
The Y drive? Okay, yeah, we don't have access to the P drive.
Oh,
Yeah, that surprises me.
that surprises me too.
So I'll go move it over to the Y drive.
Okay, sorry. Typically we do.
Normally we do. So, and I think that.
Oh, yeah.
Different?
He's like doubled in size.
You had a cold born recently?
Month ago.
So cool.
He was pretty cool.
Okay, Karen, we need a picture so I can, while you guys are talking.
So you can
real
send it
stuff,
to.
I can send it to Carrie and we can start chatting.
You got an assignment for me, Chairman?
Which one would you like?
Lyndon City right behind.
Either one, bud.
Okay.
What do you want me to do? Huh? You think I'm gonna know better than you?
We just picked the youngest.
Let's have you do this prayer.
Remember when I did it?
Would you be willing to do it today? You
Please
pro-
stand if you keep.
You probably had a spreadsheet and had it equally distributed who's gonna do it.
No, I didn't.
Jared, you're more likely to help him than I am.
You get her.
With technology?
Yeah, that's. They said you're young, Karen. I'm like, hey, no, that's what my kids are for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I did stress it, you know? Thought I didn't.
Yeah, see if it's there, sorry, Mike.
I mean, and not doing something. It's just always crazy wrong, getting people out. Like I did what I was talking about, or.
See every time.
Yeah, let's hope you have that PowerPoint. Okay, we got it.
He wasn't chair. While I've been working. And I tell people all the time,
Right? You're
My
like,
computer, this is, I have 10 seconds now, see when my computer flips.
there you go.
Mike, do we have the recording?
Sorry.
We need to introduce the new city planner. His name's Britton, I can't remember that, but that's the new city planner. He's coming from Saratoga.
be good to start, Mike.
Yep, and we do have Scott online, so.
Oh, okay. Would like to welcome you to our Planning Commission meeting today, May 14th, 2024. We'll start our meeting today with an invocation given by Commissioner Jared Showers, and then we'll ask Commissioner Sharon Call to lead us in the pledge.
Our Father in heaven, we're grateful to be gathered tonight to discuss the needs of our city. We're thankful for great staff that we have in this city and good leadership, and pray that will bless them and bless our evening this night, that we can have understanding and good communication. We're thankful for the freedoms that we enjoy, for this beautiful community in which we live, and pray that we can be good citizens and good examples to those around us. We ask for these things in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Please stand and repeat the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're going to start with an audible roll call of the commissioners, and just want to check. Can you hear us, Scott?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. So when I call for you, we can hear you respond. Sharon Call.
Here.
Mike Marchbanks is currently not here, but we might expect him later. Rob Callis.
Here.
Steve Johnson, here. Scott Thompson.
Here.
Jared Showers.
Here.
Karen Danielson.
Here.
The next item on our agenda is an approval of the minutes from our meeting on April 23rd. The commissioners have received these minutes beforehand and had a chance to review them. Are there any corrections or additions that anybody has to the minutes?
The only thing I had, and this is just I mean, it doesn't really change the meeting online. Let's see, it's page 3 on line 16. There's a sentence that says, as long as they do find that no neighboring property owner. Just the verbiage on that is all. So it makes sense. Probably if you just changed it even to not find.
Yeah.
Other than that, I thought it looked really good. And that was, I hesitated to even bring it up.
Any other? Okay. For the minutes, let's note that Commissioner Marchbanks has just joined us, and we'll wait for the vote until he can sit with us. Well, I guess there's not a vote. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved with the correction.
Second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Scott. I have to forget that there's a delay. Thank you. The motion carried. It was unanimous. The next item on our agenda is a time for public comment. Is there anybody here that would like to address the commission with any matters that are not on the agenda? If you please state your name into the microphone, and we're happy to hear your comments.
Sure. My name's Ron Hatfield. I'm here on other business. I just wanted to voice my happiness about the roads and the work that's being done. So I'm very pleased with what we've seen.
Thank you.
It's very nice.
And staff, can you take that to the appropriate people? Thank you. Anybody?
Well, I'll be glad when they're done.
Yes. So, anybody else here? I don't see any others. Before we go forward with the next item on our agenda, maybe you can just introduce our new member of our staff here. And
So Britton Corbett is our new planner. It's his second day on the job, and so we're glad to have him here and grateful to finally find a new planner in our department. So we're grateful he's here.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. I asked you, but the others didn't.
Great. So, yeah, I'm Britton Corbett. I am a new planner hired by Lindon City, as Mike mentioned. I am a recent graduate from Utah Valley University with a major in public administration and policy. And previously, I was working under the Utah Transit Authority, working on transit-oriented development. And before that, I was at Eagle Mountain City as a GIS analyst there. And I'm glad to be working again at the local municipal level. And even though it's just my second day, I'm seeing a lot of really great things about Lindon, and I'm excited to continue moving forward. And you can all expect to see more of me in the next coming Planning Commission meetings.
Great, thank you. And welcome to Lindon, and we're happy to have you on our team. So, okay. The next item, item 4 on our agenda, is an amended site plan for a warehouse building at 1600 West, 200 South. The applicant is AE Controls, and do we have a representative? Is that, if you wanted to come forward and sit up front for us with that. Our presenting staff today is Mike Florence, and so we'll turn the time over to staff.
All right, thanks, Commission. It's great to be here with you. So if you remember a few months back, AE Controls came before you to consolidate all their parcels into one lot. They did that back in January. This is an old photo here, but you can see it's got part of the lot came out into 1550 West. And so they cleaned that up. There were some gaps and things like that. So they came back, they came in January. They're now before you for amended site plan approval. So AE Controls currently is in this building. They've been there for quite a long time in this industrial building there on the corner of 2nd South and 1550 West. So what they're proposing is to add about an 8,100 square foot warehouse building in this northwest corner of the property right here. A couple things with what our ordinance says is with an amended site plan. So when there's more than a 30% increase in square footage of a building on a site, they need to come before the Planning Commission for site plan approval, and then they also need to substantially bring the site into compliance. So things such as landscaping, parking, design standards, those types of things. And so here's the location of the building. It's a 90 by 90 building. Some of the improvements that they are putting in is they'll be replacing any trees that have been removed along 1550 West or 200 South. The proposal is to add an emergency vehicle turnaround area that's identified here in the blue area for fire trucks and ambulances to be able to turn around. They'll be adding a light pole or a new street light there on the corner of 200 South and 1550 West. They'll be increasing their landscaping to the 20 feet for these end caps there with the landscaping along 200 South. They'll be adding a dumpster enclosure, and then, of course, taking care of any storm drainage on the site as well. So renderings, let's see. You can see the current rendering of the building. It's a little hard to see. Let me zoom into that. So it's pretty plain looking building, metal exterior material. The new building is also proposed to have a metal exterior. It'll have windows, overhead door. This is the view facing 200 South. They've enhanced the look by adding 2 different contrasting materials to that front facade. So a couple things wanted to bring up to the commission regarding this item. One is with parking, and then the others with the building material facades. So looking at the parking, they do meet the parking requirement with the square footages. I've broken those down in your staff report here. So they're required to have 24 parking stalls, which they have provided on the site. Let me pull up that site plan again. So I went through and reviewed all of the parking for the last, probably 10 years through Google Maps and Google Earth. And it looks like they use every single one of these parking stalls. They may even have 25 or 26 cars parked on site. And so that is something to look at. Ron, I don't know if you were able to talk to the owner and jump in here and with this as well. So the thing is, we need to make sure there is enough parking on the site. So they do meet our city code, but we also need to make sure they have enough for the employees. So we have required this 20 feet of landscaping in the front. The ordinance does allow the planning commission, if necessary, to modify that 20 feet of landscaping. So they could fit 2 more parking stalls in there if necessary, if you felt like they needed more parking, and looking at that. Ron, do you have anything you'd like to add? I'll have you come up to the microphone.
I hope this works here, sorry. So I inquired with the owners, I'm the contractor and representing the owner, and what the possible reasons why there were additional cars on various occasions. And he says occasionally they have training days where they have training, and they'll have guests coming in, or experts coming in to train on the product, and or clients coming in to review the manufacturing of the product and so forth. They have temporary personnel who come in on occasion when they have mainly handling freight, when they have to handle a lot of freight and get it loaded and out quickly. And lastly, they have times when they have new equipment being installed or the current equipment being serviced, so they'll have service personnel on the site. So that tends to be a reason when they overflow a little bit. I've also talked to them about the fact that we could have some emergency overflow. And if we can look at the top of the map, please, Mike. In the upper right-hand corner, you see a trapezoidal area. It's kind of a dark-colored area. I asked our engineer, our civil engineers, if we could convert that into some additional parking. I have a scheme here which he laid out, and I'll give this to you in a moment, if we need to overflow in that area for another additional 4 stalls, potentially. So that's how we tend to address that.
How many additional stalls would that give you total then?
That would bring it up to
24?
28. If we added these 4, it would be 28.
Would that be enough for those big event type things?
I think so, yeah. Sure.
And I never counted more than 25, maybe 26 on all those aerials I reviewed.
And the additional building really is not really to employ any more people, it's just for
Correct.
product, right?
Right now, they store off-site. They take it over to a storage building
So
someplace.
it's
So now they move it just from the building into that storage, and it's just it's storage, no additional personnel.
The other thing I just wanted to talk to you about, what the ordinance as far as materials on new buildings.
Oh, do you want me to address that?
Let me just read the ordinance real quick. It does, let's see. Sorry, my staff report printed weird, and so okay, so it says, the planning commission may approve ribless, metal, flat-faced, stucco embossed, metal sandwich panel buildings when the planning commission finds that the building is aesthetically pleasing, adequately trimmed, and contrasted with different colors, is well proportioned, blends in with the surrounding property, and has similar look to that achieved, and it gives an ordinance section. So I just wanted to make sure that this is a rib panel, but the ordinance also said it allows ribless, it allows metal, and so I think you have some flexibility in that, and I think we should, probably need to have a little bit of a discussion if you're okay. I think it does have the contrasting colors. If you look at the properties to the west and east, come on, pull up. So this is the property to the east. It does have a cinder block part of the wall there within the ribbed metal. The property to the west has a small wainscot that's a decorative block, and then the ribbed metal on top. So I think we listen to what Ron has, and then maybe have a little bit of discussion about that as well.
Sure. So the owner of this is trying, there's a lot of extras we're starting to add here, like additional fire hydrants and street lights and all kinds of good stuff. And it's getting kind of a point where he's becoming very sensitive about his budget being able to do this. And so the idea of maybe being able to economize a little bit on this frontage is important to him. The difference is this property, what you see here, this face sits 175 feet from the road. Those two adjacent properties, both of those panels are right on the road, more or less. They're just right up, very up front. So we're back into the working area, the heart of the project with this building, whereas the other buildings have more of a need to be pleasing and fit the street, if you will. We're more of a manufacturing back here rather than, looking cute for the street. And there's no offices back there or anything like that. So it's not like a guest will walk back to an office. That's not the case. And so we would like to just to change the panel color to give it a good, nice look, break up the blandness of it all, and work with that option if we could.
Rather than do the masonry?
Correct, yes. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Or even just the ribbed metal. I mean, you could do all ribbed metal, or ribless metal, or ribbed so I think that's the request, asking for this ribbed metal as a material option.
Right, that's correct.
Well, when this ordinance says that if we find the building is aesthetically pleasing, adequately trimmed, contrasted in colors, well proportioned, and blends in with the surrounding property, to me, it does that. I don't know, thoughts of other commissioners?
I'm fine with where it sits and the neighboring properties east and west. It definitely will fit in, and it isn't really, I wouldn't consider it street facing at all, as far back as it sits.
Well, the problem is that it set a standard.
Well, but
Then the next guy, he comes in, he says, well, you let those guys do it without the masonry. How come you're not letting us do it without the masonry?
no.
Probably not. There you go. Thank you.
Well, is masonry, that's not required though, is it?
Certain percentage is.
Well, it says a flat panel or masonry or other things, right? So, if we were to put a flat panel on top of that ribbed area, for example.
Well, what does it say, Michael?
Yeah, let me pull that up right here. So it says 25% minimum of the exterior of the buildings shall be covered with brick, decorative block, stucco, wood, or other similar materials as approved by the Planning Commission. But then you come down further to the end of that same section. It says the Planning Commission may approve ribless metal, or ribless metal, flat-faced, stucco embossed, and metal sandwich panel buildings. And so then it gives you some options there with.
But I didn't read that as in place of the masonry. I read that as in place of the ribbed. Am I reading that wrong?
Well, it's a different, you've got section 1, 2, 3, and 4. I read it as a different section, just because it was number 4 down there. I don't know, Brian, if you have a.
I've not looked at this that closely, but typically when you have separate sections, you know, you have to read it all together as one, but when they are separated out, there's an intent behind that, and so you have to just interpret that intent. And so I think what Mike is articulating is correct that way. I don't know that we have to read it as to, you know, in the one. I apologize, I'm stuttering there a little bit, but I think Mike's reading of it is accurate.
The intent of us putting a wainscoting and brick requirement is just to kind of uplift the look of our commercial and our industrial areas.
Dress it up.
Dress them up, and metal ribbed buildings are not at the higher end of the scope.
Well,
Not that they look bad,
Yeah,
but
I've built a lot of these, Rob, over the years. This is my last project. I'm 76 now, and it's in the line for me. I'm anxious to get this one done. I've been 2.5 years trying to get all the approvals and so forth. It's been a tough game in dealing with the neighbors. But if this were right on the street, I would agree with you. But back in that back, when you drive down the street, I doubt if anyone will even glance in that direction unless they have a reason to come into that parking lot. And the other thing is that building the original building that was built for Geneva back in the day, it was a firm that rebuilt the big fire pits, brick fire pits. So it's been there for 70 years or something, I don't know, a long time. And I think if we get too flashy on the end on a bland, just warehouse building, there's a big contrast there all of a sudden. I think if we're keeping it a little more industrial, what should I say, copacetic, that it has some benefit, not just strictly just a class and then dumpy kind of a look to it.
So, Mike, have we, other buildings in this same type of situation, have we required the 25%? I'm just wondering if that's something we've always required with others.
And also, Mike, the rest of that paragraph 4, it gives an example in our own public works building, as example. Could
As
you
the
pull?
example, the
could you
other
pull-
address doesn't exist, so we need to
Huh?
change that code. There is no 375 North, 700 West in
Oh, that's
Pleasant
the
Grove.
old building.
I don't know, I put it in
370
Google.
What's the address?
375 North, 700 West, Pleasant Grove.
But I think that's isn't that in addition to our public works? I'm taking that as an example at that address. There's our public works building, which you could pull a picture of.
Yeah, I mean, ours is on Center Street.
Yeah. But then that address, I didn't know what that address was referring to, but I didn't assume it meant our
Says
public
and-
works building, cause it's never been to at that address.
This one says, and the building located at 375 North, 700 West in Pleasant Grove. That doesn't exist in Google Maps, so, which is
Well, and
weird, so.
I don't know what they're referring to there, but to me, that's separate and apart from our public works building.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was intended to refer to Pleasant Grove's Public Works, which was the same
Oh,
type
yeah.
of facing down
And
there.
that would be their public works, address.
I mean, so ours has a stucco finish on the front.
So, I've been down by ours, but not recently. Is this,
that's it right there.
Yeah, sorry, already got out of it.
so it doesn't have a brick
It's all
wainscoting?
It's all stucco, but it's definitely street facing and,
Yeah.
You know, this whole area with Geneva developing, Geneva Road, and with what is it called? The
Utah
connector?
City,
The connector.
Vineyard.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna become pretty visible. I'm not saying anything other than we ought to make it look nice.
This is the only other one I could think of, and it
that's
was,
relatively new.
this one was new. It does have the ribbed panels except for the corners. It looks like they're stucco.
Does it have wainscoting?
No, it looks like it just has a concrete base.
Yeah, that's been done in the last 6, 7 years.
I can appreciate the person wants to save money, but everybody wants to save money.
That's true. And I think just the idea of the practicality of it, you know, there's the idea of spending money for X benefit, that may be a 1%er, a 100%er. And in his case, you know, his emphasis is making product and providing jobs. And the idea is to not necessarily start loading up his building to make an impression with somebody or anything fancy or try to, you know, be the guy on the block. He just really wants to make product.
Let's look at the building that's gonna be in front of it.
Let me go to street view, that might,
And they sell worldwide. Their product is, it's a control, some control devices that are sold worldwide. And they're growing really fast. The reason for the warehousing is they've been growing and still growing in terms of their client base.
so that's the street view right now.
And so the building's gonna be built behind that one?
It'll be back, yeah,
And those dumpsters.
kind of where those
So
dumpsters
Zoom
are.
in on the street one by the grass. Is it,
Sorry, what, I couldn't hear you, what?
zoom in on the front or the exposed side by the grass there of that building, yeah. So does it have a wainscoting?
It does not, it just has that concrete stem
Concrete
wall,
Foundation.
yeah.
That doesn't look like,
It's called a stem wall.
what's that brown, yeah, what's the
Yeah.
brown?
It's concrete.
Just concrete.
Old concrete.
The old
Up there
style,
about 5 feet?
yeah, the old style, Rob, I built a lot of these. If
I
you
know
read-
how it is, I'm just trying to see from the picture
Oh, yeah.
what,
Yeah.
if that is a wainscot or if that's just
No,
a
it's
shadow
just a
or if
stem
that's
wall.
It's a,
stem wall.
Maybe a water stain from the sprinkling
that's what
system.
it looks like to me.
Yeah.
And these two trees have been removed, and so they'll be planting new trees in their spot.
So if that building was being built today, would we require the 25%?
I mean, yeah,
On both sides. On the front,
Both
probably
street-
over on
both
1550.
street sides, yeah.
Right, yeah. But again, if you look back in the back there, Rob, you can see those dumpsters. The new building is behind those dumpsters down that drive. It's way back there.
I understand.
I can see what Rob's saying, though. We don't want to make a decision that would lock us into not allowing, having to not allow the higher standard on other buildings.
Well, but if you're
What
letting
you're
people
saying?
make their argument based on, you know, what you'd let somebody do somewhere else, then it's pretty easy to say, yeah, you're proposing a building that's got two street side facing elements to it today, which we don't do that. If you're putting them back and it's pure storage on an existing facility, to me, that argument wouldn't go very far with me if somebody tried to
Okay.
make that argument.
Yeah, I'm just throwing it out there. So, Mike, if we decided to go ahead with this, it sounds like the way the ordinance is, we do have a choice of allowing this and then still requiring someone else to meet the higher standard.
yeah, I think you do if you justify it that, you know, this isn't the building right up next to the street. It's not the primary
Like, it has
building.
no real, it's not fronting really any street, it's a back building.
Point where it's gonna be built.
Right here.
It looks similar to the building to
Right
the
there,
left of it there,
on that
Bob.
pad.
It's gonna look similar to that building to the left. I don't know what the front of that one
This
looks
one?
like there, right where his cursor's, I have no idea what that face is. I think it's strictly all ribbed.
Let's look at it, zoom in on that one a little bit.
I can't tell with the fence, but it does have a,
Stem wall.
yeah, but it's the decorative block. It does have
The
that,
wall is block, it looks like maybe, yeah.
yeah. I mean, we can only see to there, but it does look like it.
Can I just add that I've had a chance to go through the statute and look at the different things, and it definitely is intended to be, you can do one or you can do four. It expressly says, hey, as except as you find in 4, you need the brick, the 25% brick. But but it expressly says, except as permitted in subsection 4, which allows you, if you make the finding that this looks adequate and it meets the feel of the neighborhood and meets these other requirements that are listed in subsection 4. So we don't have to have the brick.
Okay.
We don't have to have the brick if you'll meet number 4.
If it meets the requirements of number 4.
And let's read number 4 again.
And so, 4 approves the ribless flat metal surface. And again, the thing that you need to find is, as long as you find that the building is aesthetically pleasing, adequately trimmed, contrasted with colors, and this is the important part, is that it's well proportioned and blends into the surrounding and has a similar look to the desire achieved. The desire sought to be achieved by subsection 1 that requires the brick. So you do need to make those findings that if you're not going to require the brick, that this plan meets that general purpose of subsection 4.
Is that okay? If you don't do the brick, can you do 4?
Well, we don't want to do the brick, so yeah. We
Oh,
don't.
you have to do 4.
So you can meet the requirements of 4.
That's what he's proposing.
Right.
Yeah,
And and staff says that, to their opinion, this plan meets 4. As long as we find it's aesthetically pleasing.
Right, and
Yes.
For the surrounding.
I mean, the ribbed all the way to the stem wall
Yeah.
meets 4?
Meets 4.
Is that what it says?
That it can be metal, that the whole thing can be metal.
Yeah.
I think with the situation and the location and what you're doing to make it attractive, I think I'm okay with it.
If you were to approve the motion, then I would probably have you add a number 6 on there, that they'll add the additional 4 parking stalls on there.
Scott, do you have any questions?
Scott, you're on mute.
Yeah, I think as long as, I agree with everything you guys said. I think we've done our due diligence to go through this. So yeah, I'm okay with it.
And Scott, just note, we just received a map that shows the additional 4 parking stalls. That's what we're looking at.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's the biggest thing that's gonna affect the surrounding area that starts overflowing out into the streets. So I think that's a good compromise.
Okay.
You ready for a motion?
Oh, I apologize. I did receive one public comment on this. The property owner to the north wanted to make sure that his south fence, so,
Alt property.
yes, the alt property, that his south fence wouldn't be disturbed on there. So that would be,
Do you want that as another condition?
no, I think we're okay, but he just wanted clarification whether the property owner will be touching his fence that's on the north side here on the alt property.
Well, staff can
There'll be no
make
construction.
sure with that.
No construction against
Right.
that fence.
Okay. I'll respond to him tomorrow.
Is there any other comments from the commission? If not, I'd like to call for a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
I went off of it.
Sorry, I don't know where my staff report went. There it is.
I move to approve the applicant's request for site plan approval with the following conditions. Number 1, the applicant will continue to work with the city engineer to make all final corrections to the engineering documents. Number 2, the plans will meet development specifications as found in the Lindon City Development Manual. 3, that if required, complete or post an adequate improvement completion assurance, warrant and post required warranty assurance for all required public infrastructure improvements. Number 4, final building and site design will meet the light industrial ordinance and landscape requirements.
And Commissioner, let's add that it meets section 4 of Title 17.
And therefore meets section 4 of Title 17.
17, let me get you the code
Give me
number
the
on that.
exact.
Yeah, I lost it, sorry.
It's 1749-070.
1749-04070. 5, all fire code regulations shall be met. 6, additional parking stalls on northeast corner of the property will be added. And 7, all items of the staff report.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed?
I will vote aye, as long as that number 4 is in there with that change.
Yeah.
Then yes, I do vote aye.
Okay. So we have, so the voting was unanimous.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on our agenda is time for some training by our city attorney for the open and public meetings training.
I'll just sit here. Thank you very much for hanging out. He's already been through this once and twice, 3 times. Same jokes, just the names have changed. So, and I'm definitely getting to that stage in my life where I can't remember what stories I've told, and when I start telling a story, I can see in their eyes that, yeah, I told that story to these people before. You will probably, undoubtedly, recognize most of this information, and I don't blame you if there's a glaze in your eyes, because we do this every single year to meet the statute, and it does give you some of your requirements. I don't remember exactly how many hours you have to meet the state training requirements. So I'll give you a full hour, and we're going to try and do it in 15 minutes. So anyway, open meetings, why are we here? Because we have to be here. State code section requires that we take this training on an annual basis. Now, the purpose of the Open Meeting Act is, again, to just make sure that we do the people's business with transparency, that we conduct our deliberations openly, and that all of our actions are taken in the view of the public. There are going to be some changes. There was some changes in the statute this year that I'll highlight in red as we hit those slides. But really, the law is the same. New statute, same rules, okay? We need to make sure we're doing stuff so the public knows what we're doing, and we're not trying to do anything behind closed doors. So who has to comply with these requirements? Any body that is established by, that is an administrative, advisory, executive. You are an advisory and administrative body. You apply the code. You also give recommendations to the city council, and you are created by statute. And so Planning Commission, we fall right in all of these requirements. We have more than 2 people. We are supported by tax revenue, and we have authority to make these decisions. And again, just City Council, obviously, the Planning Commission, but also our Board of Adjustments and our advisory boards, because again, they're created by our statutes, the city ordinances, and they're supported with taxpayer dollars. Who does the law not apply to? Political parties, groups, and caucuses are not subject to this. Conference committees and sitting committees of the legislature. I always love how the legislature exempts themselves out from some of these requirements, but I guess we don't always need to see how the sausage is made in certain contexts. But so what is a meeting? It's a convening of the public body with a quorum present, and here's where the change. It has to be for the express purpose of acting as that public body over something that a relevant matter, and it's to receive comments on that relevant matter, deliberate about that relevant matter, and then act on that relevant matter. And it gives us a definition of what is a relevant matter. It is something within the scope and authority. So we can sit down and hold a meeting and talk about the best way to, balance the budget or secure the borders or whatever the hot political issue is of the day. And we don't have to tell anybody, even though all of us are here and doing it in these chambers, we don't have any authority over those things. So it doesn't constitute a public meeting and we don't have to go through these steps. So
really, Brian, this is good what they've done.
this is good.
Yeah.
Yep. They've made it more clear, and there were ways we could get tripped up before. We talked about all the social meetings and whatnot.
You're at church and you happen to all be in the same.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So this is good. And again, open meetings. All of the meetings that we're addressing stuff, they are deemed to be open, and we need to give proper notice, and we'll go through all of those things like we always do. But if we're meeting, it's presumed to be open unless we go through specific steps to close it. And of course, as the Planning Commission, we don't go into closed sessions, and so we won't spend much time. We'll fly through those slides as well. We'll go through them so that we can at least have an understanding of it and meet the training requirements. But open meetings are our regular meetings, are the special meetings that we hold sometimes, workshops if we're going out to look at things. I was reading something, one of our sister cities, I don't remember who it was, but some of their staff was going to France, I think it was. I like that idea of a workshop, but I don't see that happening anytime soon. But if you have enough quorum, you gotta notice it up. So, but anyway, site visits, those different things, traveling tours. And when we hold a work session and a regular meeting on the same day, they need to be in the same location. So we're not moving meetings around and trying to hide the ball from where we're actually going to be holding these meetings. There are some changes in the electronic meeting we'll talk about here in just a little bit.
Hey, one question, Brian.
Sure.
A site visit, if we're going to a site visit because it's an open house, they want us to see the finished product, to me, that would be not.
Right. Are we going for the express
Not
purpose?
going to act business, we're just going to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. 100%.
Yeah.
We're not going there to take public input, to deliberate on anything,
Right.
or to act. So,
Right.
exactly. So chance meetings, social gatherings, solely for, and again, this is more for the city council, if they're trying to talk about how to deploy security and things like that. We don't have to go through those formal meetings. Okay, here's the question. Here's the little pop quiz. In addition to their public service to Lindon, Commissioners Callis, Marchbanks, and Danielson are on the directing board of United Swifties of Utah, a local nonprofit action committee dedicated to promoting the appreciation of the cultural icon that is Taylor Swift. Do these Swiftie committee meetings have to comply? What's the answer?
Only
No.
3 of them.
Okay, there's only 3 of them. That's a good point. No quorum. But let's say that we throw in and there's some secret Swifties on the board that we didn't mention.
No, because of the subject matter.
Right. We don't have, again, no authority to do anything over that. It's
Right.
not supported by the public. It's not created. So this one does not fit. So all the Swifties can rejoice.
She was gonna come before the planning commission next week. Then we got.
There we go. Exactly. Exactly. Okay, where did I move off? Oh, there we go. Okay, again, just the definition of a quorum, it means the majority of the body. We understand that. And for the city council, it's 2. For you, it's 3 or less. It doesn't constitute a quorum. Electronic meetings, some changes here. We can't use electronic meetings. It used to be that we had to have an anchor location. State changed the thing, saying you don't have to have an anchor location. Everybody can be at home. Everybody can do that. We don't have to have even a member present unless a member of the public says, hey, I want to come and participate. I don't have the electronic means. I need an anchor location. And they have to request that within 24 hours in the meeting. Then we set up an anchor location. But again, it's just trying to make things more convenient. All of the members could join Scott. And not saying that we should do that, but Scott does look pretty comfortable. And
So that probably arose out of what was going on during COVID.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So that's the change in the electronic meetings. Again, closed meetings, we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on this because We just don't do those in the planning commission, but unless you close a meeting, it's presumed to be open and the public can come. And one thing that we get all the time is sometimes members of the public will come in and do their First Amendment audits, is what it's called, okay? They come in and they want to set up their cameras and they want to kind of get in your face and challenge you to say, yeah, kind of tell me not to do this. Well, we can't, okay? They have their rights. They can come and set up a camera and they can record everything and they can broadcast it however they want to, as long as they're not too much in your face, okay? If they're disrupting, if they're blocking access, if they're doing things like that we can stop. But if a member of the public comes in and starts recording and they pull out their phone, they set up a camera, we just thumbs up and smile and know you're being watched. But we know we're being watched anyway. So it's all the same when I'm knocking stuff over. So just remember that. And we are able to go into a closed meeting only for very specific purposes. If we're talking about someone's competency or physical or mental health, we can go into a closed session. We can go into talk about, again, collective bargaining. That doesn't really apply, except for in Salt Lake. There's a little bit of spots that can do that. But pending litigation, if we're sitting down as an attorney and client, we can talk without having to have the public there. If we're going to talk about buying real estate or buying or selling, it's so that people don't try to come in and raise prices or corner a market or do something. It's to avoid giving people unfair advantages to those things. Again, the sale of that property. Security devices and systems, how we're taking care of things and making sure those things we don't want published out there. And then investigations regarding allegations of criminal conduct, presumed to be innocent. Well, that investigation is going. Now, if we go in and make a report and a finding, that has to be in public. But anyway, again, closed meetings can't take any official action in a closed meeting. And the city council cannot interview people to fill elected positions in a closed session. It used to be they said, we're going to do this because we're talking about their competency, their mental health, are they going to be able to handle all the stresses of this? And the legislature about 5 years ago said, no, if it's for a public position, an elected position, it has to be done in front of the public. So, and then again, you can't take any votes in closed sessions. And to close a session, basically you have to notice people that you're going to have a closed session. You have to start with an open meeting. You have to take a roll vote. 2/3 of the body must vote to go into it. And you need to express what that meeting is for, okay? And who voted to go into the closed session. Those are all statutory. Closed sessions have to be recorded unless you're talking about confidential information about a person. Those don't have to be recorded, but everything else has to be recorded. We also, once you go into a closed session, the members of that body are obligated not to talk about it outside. Now, you can talk with staff and you can talk amongst yourselves, but you don't go home and tell your family, oh, look what I found out about this, and those types of things. You have to keep it confident when you go into a closed session. Okay, notice of public meetings. We have to give notice. Every year, Brittany does a great job of getting a list of when all of our regularly scheduled meetings will be. We have to post that on our website. The state has a public notice website that we have to post it on, and we have to publish that. We don't have to do stuff in newspapers anymore. Used to always have to do newspapers, but that's not a thing anymore. But we do have to publish a notice at least 24 hours before each meeting. There are some meetings, of course, that you guys know, when it deals with the land use, we have to do a greater notice. But we rely on Mike and great staff to take care of all of those for us, and they do a great job. But sometimes we have to give 10 days notice, just so that people understand what's going on. And again, we have to identify what we're talking about, based on the subject matter that's on the agenda. We have to do the date, time, and place for the meeting. We have to give an agenda for the meeting. And if something's not on the agenda, the public can raise an issue in our public comment period, and we can discuss that, but we cannot take any official action on that. And we can't raise those issues. We can't say, okay, hey, before we move on to the next item, I would like to raise something that happened. Now, in our in our reports, our staff reports, our commission reports. Those things we can do. The city council, they each give a specific report about their specific areas. Those are things that can be raised and discussed, but no official action can be taken unless it's on the agenda. Again, agendas must give reasonably specific information. You can't say, hey, we're going to talk about zoning. You got to say what zoning we're talking about, where we're talking about it. And again, it's just got to let the public know what we're doing. Again, we just talked about that already. This doesn't apply for an emergency meeting. We don't have very many of those. I don't know that I've ever been to an emergency meeting that we haven't noticed. We've been to some quickly called meetings when something's come up, but no, if there's a real emergency, if there's a disaster, if there's something like that, the mayor can get together. Mayor has authority to issue some emergency proclamations, and then the council can ratify those, and those can be done without meeting these public notice requirements. But basically, we satisfy these by posting the written notice here at the city center and at the community center, a couple different places that we do, posting it on the Utah Public Notice website and posting it on ours. I don't know why that didn't pop up. But anyway, during those emergencies, we can disregard those. We've talked about that already. And we cannot hold this emergency meeting unless we've tried our best to give the public notice of it. We've got to at least try, and we've got our Everbridge notification. We use that. We would use that if we had an emergency to let people know what's going on. So, and a majority of the members have to do it. So, the Planning Commission, question number 2 on your pop quiz, meets to consider the action on a proposed site development for the Taylor Swift Museum. The city posts notice of the meeting on the state website at the proposed location and sends actual notice to surrounding neighbors. Is this notice sufficient?
No.
What are we missing?
Notice is gonna be on the public. At the proposal.
So we've posted it. We can post it there, but where didn't we post it? At this building, right. It was a little tricky question. We still have to meet those requirements of posting it here at the city. When we posted it on the state website, our ordinance, and I didn't say this, I should have made this clear, our ordinance requires us to post it on our website as well. So that was a trick, I apologize. But you got the one that I was thinking of. We do have to post it here. Okay, question number 2. On the agenda for March 30th is a discussion of Taylor Swift's museum. But at the meeting, outspoken members of the Goo Goo for Gaga group, another nonprofit political action committee that is tired of the Swifties and their apparent lack of appreciation for Lady Gaga's greatness, they come and passionately describe the need for a statue of the singer. I hope I spelled singer.
You said sign.
Yeah, I did. I just saw that typo. The singer at the mouth of Dry Canyon. After a rather heated deliberation lasting for hours, the commission finally votes to recommend both tributes be approved on a vote of 4-3. Is that legal?
No, because it's a new agenda item.
There you go, exactly. So we can take the comment from those of Goo Goo for Gaga, but we can't act on it. So, okay, good job. We are about done, folks, I promise. Minutes and recordings, we have to, this is where Brittany comes in, and we have to keep written minutes and recordings. They just include the date, time, and place of the meeting, names of the members present, those who are talking and submitting, and a basic summary of the matters that are proposed and discussed, and the comments given by the members of the public. A record of each individual vote taken, and the names of each person who is not a member of the public body who provided or was invited to testify before the public body. So. And we do that. That's why we ask people to please come up, give their name, and speak into the mic so we get a good recording of it. The substance, again, of that testimony, any information that you request to be entered in the minutes. The minutes is, now we have the recording, it's verbatim, but the minutes are the official record of the meeting under the law. And as you're going back through those minutes and you realize you misspoke, say the recording says, hey, I really think that this is a great idea, but but you're reading and you went, why did I say that? I meant to say, this is a great big mistake, you know? You can go back in and you can say, I want to amend the minutes to reflect what I truly meant to say. And those minutes are what control. I would not suggest we do that, but just understand that that is what the law allows. You can go back and you can correct the minutes and you can add information to the record to reflect exactly what was going on at that point. Again, the recordings of the minutes, the recordings of the meetings we have to do, they have to be unedited, they have to be there. So again, if we go back and try to change things, people can come and say here, but the law does allow you to do what I described. We have to make those recordings available within 3 business days. Again, Brittany does a great job doing this. There are times when we don't have to have recordings, and that's if we're doing a site visit, as long as no official action is taken. But again, we've got the recording equipment. It's not hard to do, so we try to record all of our meetings regardless.
Excuse me, just a question. So if Commissioner Johnson is asking for a vote to approve the minutes, and we say, well, we want to make a change to the minutes to reflect what I really felt, is that the time to do it?
That's exactly the time to do it. Once the minutes are approved, thank you for that question, really good question, Rob, because once the minutes are approved, they're set, okay? So we've got to do that before the minutes are approved in that official vote. That's the whole purpose of that review, and, well, I don't know if it's the whole purpose, but that's one of the purposes for it. So, okay, perfect, good question, thank you. And again, what we talked about before, any member of the public can do their own recording, as long as they don't interfere or interrupt the meeting. And I was saying before, we've already gone through this, we don't have to always record every closed session, but we do have to keep written minutes and details of those closed sessions. And those are subject to review only if a judge orders that they're subject. A judge will take those. If somebody comes in and says, I want to know what happened in that closed session, a judge will review the minutes, he'll listen to the recording, and he'll say, you know, hey, this exceeded the scope of why you went into it, it's now open, and he'll show it. But if it complies with the law, he won't let anybody have access to it. So, anyway, oh, Mike, I was clicking there we go. I was clicking way too fast. Okay, this is the new law, but the same rule. This is a brand new section of the code that was enacted, and it just says, individuals constituting a quorum may not act together outside in a concerted and deliberate way to predetermine an action that the body's going to take. Okay, again, I like this. It gets rid of the chance meetings and those squishy, those gray areas. It makes it really clear that to be liable under this, you have to show a deliberate and concerted action. So, you know, but if for some reason we do decide we don't want to discuss something in the public and we get together, whether it's, you know, the telephone tag and we say, hey, pass this on to so-and-so and do this with such and such and get this person to vote our way. Those things, if we're taking deliberate and concerted actions, that does violate the code. I'm not worried about us doing that, but it used to be we would say, hey, as long as there's only 3 of you, you can do whatever. So if this 3 meets and then this 3 meets and then 2 of, you know, you meet here and you circumvent, well, it wasn't a violation of the act. But if it's a deliberate way to get around making a decision in public and somebody can prove it, it's a violation of the act, okay? Like I said, I'm not worried about that happening, but if we do violate the act, we are guilty of a Class B misdemeanor. That includes up to 6 months in jail and a $2,500 fine. Those are the maximum penalties.
I missed this when you started, Rick. Does this apply just to governmental meetings, or is it like school boards, or?
It's any governmental body. A school board is a governmental body because it's created by statute and it's you know, they spend and use taxpayer money. So a school board, yes. A PTA board, that's debatable. You know, sometimes the school gives the PTA a little bit of money, but are they authorized to act on behalf of the school? Probably not. And so PTA probably wouldn't be. But yeah, governmental bodies is who this applies to. And a court can void any action taken in violation of the Open Meeting Act. And the remedy is, well, if the court finds we violate this act, they just make us go back and do it the right way. But we get hammered with legal fees. And I don't know if there was a case that just came down against West Jordan, and they lost, but their damages were $1. You know, the jury, it was over a tow company, tow yard that they shut down that wasn't done properly, but they didn't do the proper notices and didn't give them their due process. The jury found, okay, West Jordan, you violated it. There's a $1 damage award to this person, and oh, but by the way, you have to pay their attorney's fees, $780,000. So that was what the judge awarded for attorney's fees. So it's a big hammer that people hold over us. So we want to make sure we do this right. And with that, I'm done. How fast? How long do they take? I don't know. Anyway, thank you for enduring, and I'll see you again next year. So, okay.
Okay. The next item is our planning director report. Mike, do you have anything for us?
I have a couple of things too.
The only item I have is for the next meeting, we'll probably just have that Sunnyside Farmers Market returning for their ordinance amendment. They've had some sickness and some scheduling conflicts, so that'll come back next time for you. So I think that might be the only item on the agenda next time.
Okay. I have a couple items, but Sharon has a couple
No, go
first.
ahead. You can go ahead. Okay. No, I just, a resident up on 835 East where they're doing so much construction work on the road. You know, there's a big retention pond up on 835 East. And she had a city employee, I don't know whether they had any authority to tell her this, but that there is a plan in the next 8 to 10 years to expand that retention pond and take out some of those homes on 835.
That would be news to me. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I've worked for the city for 25, going 26 years, and I can think of one time we were willing to condemn a piece of property, and it was to get 700 north down to the freeway.
Is that this property here?
I would be astounded.
That is the retention pond, isn't it?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and it would be the Stevens home that is right on the corner of 835.
Right here?
I can't.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. I'll bring that up in our directors meeting in the morning, but I've never heard of that, so.
I'm sure Mike
There's
would have
always
heard about it.
discussion about how, if we can find more detention as we get more and more development, we're always looking for ways to better our detention and our stormwater system, but the thought of us condemning property to do so would be just very foreign.
Okay. I guess the person was talking to her about a couple of trees that had to be taken out there, you know, where their property abuts against the, you know, that park and retention.
Yeah,
And-
we were
And that's
taking
not an
trees out
issue, you
there,
know,
but-
because, you know, that's not an issue, but then he said, oh yeah, the city's growing so fast that we're going to
This is for
expand the
secondary water.
retention pond in the next 8 to 10 years and
Isn't
we'll
this
have
for
to take-
secondary?
Yeah, that's secondary. That's 100% secondary.
Yeah, this one's
And
for,
we'll have to take the homes out along there.
huh.
Wow.
Now, you're not, that's not, I
Never
said,
say never, I guess, but
what I told her, I said, I kind of would be very surprised if that's validated.
yeah, I would be astounded.
Because these aren't for detention, these are for the secondary water.
Yeah.
A storage, water
Yeah,
storage.
they're the storage areas, so.
So where it's secondary water, then they probably would not be expanding that anyway, right?
Yeah. I can ask tomorrow and report back next time or send you an email.
Yeah, yeah. That would be fine. I just said, I don't think you need to be panicky over that. You know,
Yeah.
it's probably some employee just making a comment off the cuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Another question I had was, I know they had a meeting Friday, what was it, last Friday afternoon, on Lindon City's position on the Alpine School District.
I didn't attend that. I don't know.
I
Brian,
didn't
if you
attend it.
did.
I started watching it and then didn't have time to watch the whole thing. I wondered what their stand on that was, what they are supporting.
Right, the decision was to gather more information.
Oh, okay.
And there's a lot of stuff going around and they want to just gather more information, look at more studies.
Okay.
Orem had some more information that they were getting. The school district got some more financial data and financial information. And so they met on Tuesday and then they met again on Friday. On Friday, they said, let's continue gathering more information
Right.
before we enter into any interlocal agreements or anything like that.
Okay.
And it sounds like the other cities, Orem is very much in favor of an interlocal agreement. The other cities are still kind of in that same mode going, well, let's make sure we know what we're doing.
Okay.
Before we.
Well, I started listening to it, and then I didn't have time to listen to the whole thing, so that's good to just have you tell us, rather than spending an hour listening or so. Okay, and then another question I had, and then I'll be quiet. Can someone bring in a large storage shed and park that on their driveway and have that take up most of their driveway? Can they?
So under our ordinance, they can if they're
If it's
actively
temporary.
remodeling or,
If it's temporary.
you know, if they've had a flood in their home, yeah, they could do it for 6
As long
months.
as it's temporary,
Right.
Yes,
but it can't be a permanent.
that's
type
right.
thing.
6 months is the limit on that.
Okay,
But they
Okay.
have, but there's also a key to that. They need to be like remodeling the home, or they need to be moving, or,
during
You
that
know.
6 months period.
yeah, there's something that needs to trigger that. Some type of emergency or change in life circumstance.
Okay, but they just can't just leave it there.
No.
Okay, okay. I know some of the others have questions.
I just wanted to kind of bring to the attention of the commission that I read an article a couple months ago that Salt Lake City, you know, they have what they consider a housing crisis. They don't have any land, so they're considering all options of how they can expand and grow and provide more housing. And they're considering changing the ordinances to allow access into backyards and approve building second homes on one lot. Now, in Lindon, we don't have that issue usually because we have such large lots, but we've talked about this numerous times about how we ought to consider giving what we can do to change a few things to get access to the back area. You know, you've got a lot of lots that are 1 acre lots with 100 foot of frontage. What are you ever gonna do with that 1 acre lot, you know? I would really like to propose we consider some thought as to how to gain access to some of this land that's in behind all these homes and I'm not talking about a half acre lot necessarily. I'm talking about something that's more property that is landlocked or, you know, Jared, your lot is a prime example, although I know you don't want to do anything there, but a lot like yours is really deep.
It's only 108 feet frontage.
Yeah.
So you can't do a flag lot.
So you can't, and so,
I know several lots like that, in fact, there's neighbor that bought a lot because it was an acre, thinking that down the road, when they got older, they'd be able to, but it's configured such that they're on an acre, but with the
Frontage,
100-foot frontage they got, they can't.
Anyway, there's gotta be some flexibility and some thought as to, and I'd like to have one, when we're not so busy, have a session where we just brainstorm.
We talked about having that with the city council.
Well, yeah. I'd like to almost do it without them and then propose something to them and then meet with them.
Take our opinions to them.
How wide does the, sort of the flag pole, is it 20 feet? 25.
The road needs to be 20, the width is 25.
I didn't catch that.
So the width of the lot, the staff portion has to be 25, but then the road only has to be 20.
Some sort of a cross-access agreement with a neighbor,
Yeah.
where they're sharing 10 feet of that, or 12 feet, and you're 12 feet.
Yeah, I mean, if you only had 100,
Could service
110
both-
feet,
Both
maybe.
those lots potentially. I don't know.
That's all I had, Commissioner.
I have two questions about the, that have been asked to me by people on Songbird Cove. One, the Stewarts at the end were quite surprised by the home that's right next to them because it's turned sideways. You know, it's facing the street. There's only 6 feet or whatever that minimum distance is between them and the fence.
Yeah.
And their understanding was that there would be trees planted between them and this property. I said I'd bring it up. I think they probably addressed it to the city, but they are concerned that there's that promise of privacy from trees is now not being
Yeah, and
honored.
I explained this to them already, but the way that Alpine Homes laid out their lots, you know, doing one at a time, they have to have a 6-foot setback on one side of one home and then 10 feet on the other, so that they have 16 feet. Well, when it came down to doing the last lot, they had to do 10 feet on one side, and then that only left them 6 feet on the other. And so there wasn't room to plant a tree. We were hoping that they would have a 10-foot setback on their side, but they only got 6. That's just the way the thing's laid out, and we can't plant a tree in 6 feet next to the home. And so they'll get some trees in the backyard, but the side yard won't get one.
Is there any possibility of the developer providing trees for the other side of the fence?
No.
Okay.
I can't even, I'm barely trying to get Alpine to plant the trees they're required to plant.
Okay.
They won't plant one on someone else's property, and Brian and I are trying to get them to plant the trees they're supposed to plant,
Okay.
so.
And then the other question on the whole development there is, if I remember correctly, there was, I don't know if it was a requirement or a suggestion that most of these be owner occupied.
We can't require that.
There, or that was gonna be the HOA or promised. I don't know if anybody, they're, almost none of them are owner occupied. I mean,
Homes or the townhomes?
both. The homes are more owner occupied, but especially the townhomes, almost every single one of them is rented.
Unless it,
Surprised at that, because our comment to that concern was the market would probably dictate who's gonna be living there, because I don't know how they're making any money on renting those.
Yeah.
But it's
It's
very much,
interesting.
it's very, I mean,
That's
young,
interesting to hear.
yeah.
those are, what, a $550,000 townhome, I think they were.
Well, we also discussed how that can blight this development for lending by having too many non-owner occupied. It makes certain Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac available money's not even available to them.
Yeah.
Certainly FHA loans.
Yep.
And I mean, there's at least one or not two when we walked through the other day that now have for rent signs out in
I
front
saw
of them
that too, when I drove through.
that have been purchased and now have for rent signs. So I just wonder if, I can't remember, I think the developer said that they were gonna be, but,
So they'd put something in their HOA documents and
yes.
they may have, I don't know,
I
but that,
remember discussing that, and I was opposed to putting something like that in the HOA documents personally, because I just don't,
But-
You know, they could be,
it's their development.
they could be purchased, but then the purchaser is turning around and not occupying.
Right, not, no, like,
Yeah.
like
I
most
think
of them are,
that's probably
like, I know
what's
there's.
Yeah, it's
there's-
not the developer.
It's not the
to-
developer
okay,
renting
okay.
them, they're being sold, but then they're being rented versus, they're being,
Yeah.
they're rental properties, and,
I think I asked that question
It's-
on another situation and the response I got was that
They could-
we cannot.
we can't require it, but I
require
thought that the developer said they'd put it in the HOA, but
I think they did put something in the HOA documents. I can check into that.
if you just wanna check in, if you report back if they're
Yeah.
gonna enforce that or try to enforce
It
it,
seemed like there was a discussion with
but it does
Wayne
seem that,
Corbridge on that.
the people that are moving in are renting. And aren't gonna be there permanent, or long-term, a lot of them, and so that, the concern of turnover and what's
Yeah.
that doing to
Yeah.
the community is,
Because I believe two are owned by the Corbridges.
That's true.
And they're moving into those. I know that one of the sons,
one of the sons has moved
Is
in,
moved
and I
in
know
and-
two of them are owned by the same individual, and they have their two young, newly married kids in them while they're in school for a couple of years, but the intent is then it'll be rented afterwards, right? It's not, and so maybe they're getting around the HOA by, you know, I just wonder what the future would
Which
be.
one of the Corbridges' son moved in, do you know?
I don't know the
is
first name.
Dallin, is
We
there a
know his
Dallin?
kids.
No. What, I'm sorry?
Dallin, I think, is his name, or Devin, I can't, Dallin or
Dallin, there's Dallin.
Dallin is
I think
living
Dallin.
there.
But,
Yeah.
but, I think they're building the last two I think they're starting on the last two townhomes, and almost all the houses are at least started. So,
I think they have one more
The rent
permit,
would be quite exorbitant
Yes.
as far as,
they have one more permit to pull with us
They're
for the
gonna
single
get an
family.
ROI on what they can get for rent.
What do you hear about the one across by Lindon Nursery?
I thought he was gonna start another set of buildings this year, but doesn't sound like it if he hasn't submitted anything yet to us.
As many people in those as I do the other one.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, when we walk around the neighborhood, there's quite a few that are now, I mean, it's filling up, the Songbirds Cove. I mean, there's people in them. I mean, there's,
it looks like it.
and so I have not gotten to know very many of them yet. A few of them, but, it's kinda hard to get to know 70 neighbors all at once.
That whole development is in your ward, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a big, a lot of people.
You know, I guess on the side note, I have not noticed an increase of traffic to a substantial amount on our road. But so far, they have gone in and out of State Street, I think, mostly. What I've noticed is my street's actually, up where I am on Locust is quieter because all my neighbors go down.
Yeah, probably.
They don't go up just.
They're cutting through.
They're
They go
cutting
to
through.
the State Street.
So. Anything else from any of the commissioners?
You haven't heard, I asked this once before, but are we just gonna patch all these holes that are being made with the sewer replacements and stuff? Are we gonna grind them and put new roads in? I mean,
Like on Center Street?
Center Street, Main Street, Fourth?
Yeah,
835 today,
I mean,
gosh, they are really working on
yeah.
Had a map, I thought,
repaving it all.
The city's website has a construction update.
where it's,
on there.
Main Street's supposed to be all repaved.
They
Asphalt.
grind it up and redo it instead of
Oh,
pave
I
over.
bet they started to do that.
I hope so.
You look at 835 and it looks like they're redoing the whole thing.
Yeah, they're eight,
35 is
Yeah.
beyond, just, I mean, it's gotta be all
He
new
fixed it, yeah,
asphalt.
yeah.
and these will give you,
I'll look it on the website.
There was a map.
Center
though, that I
Street.
seen,
It's a little dangerous dangerous. This company that's doing it doesn't do very good with traffic directory and it's,
Street patching will begin spring of 2024 as soon as the weather is warm enough to install new asphalt patches. Additional street improvements will be complete as part of future street improvements project along Center Street. So it doesn't give us a ton of information.
I would assume Center Street's gonna be all new.
I would assume that. I just wonder about the others.
Surface.
I guess the other question, has everybody's power been as fickle as ours now with all this construction?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a power outage.
I mean, it seems like 2 or 3 times a week,
Yeah.
we have to reset all the clocks. It's just long enough, you have to reset all the
It
clocks.
goes off for like 15
Yeah.
seconds.
Yeah, it went off last night in our historic commission
Yeah, at
meeting.
8:35, and over in some of those cul-de-sacs, it was off for like 7 hours.
Oh, well, we haven't had a long one, but it seems to be constant rolling outages of power.
Jared, weren't you without water for several days too?
Just one day,
Just one day?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. From like 8 to 5.
Yeah, Main Street was off
Street was
for a
out
day.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, if there's no other comments, I'll call for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 The voting was unanimous, including Scott. Let's go home.
Good night.
Good night.
We're